Hello and welcome to the program coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Lee Ji-yoon. Hope you're ready to start this morning with some fresh business news coming out of Korea. Coming up on today's Business Daily. We take a preview of the upcoming IMF and World Bank meeting as well as the World Water Forum currently underway here in Korea. Hiring season is here and we're seeing a shift in many ways companies are hiring as they focus more on merit than perfect resumes. Korea's import and export prices jumped for the second month in a row, according to figures released by the country's central bank on the back of a weakening Korean won. In local currency terms, Bank of Korea data showed that the country's export price index recorded a 0.9% rise from the previous month to 84.46 index points. The central bank attributed this increase to the rise in export value of chemical products, which jumped by 4%. Meanwhile, import prices gained by 0.4% from February as the impact of a weakening won offset the dip in oil prices. The won dropped by an average 1.3% in March from February. The number of jobs in Korea's manufacturing industry is on an upward trend for 32 consecutive months, hitting a 17-year high since the Asian financial crisis. Statistics Korea says that over 4.4 million people held jobs in this industry in February, up 3.7% year on year. Analysts say this expansion comes as new forms of manufacturing jobs are being created. More people in their 50s and 60s are actively looking for jobs, and an increased number of foreigners are being employed. Now, the concern is this phenomenon may lead to employment without growth. Images of LG Electronics' new flagship phone to be G4 were leaked online on Sunday, giving tech enthusiasts a sneak preview of the handset. In what is believed to be caused by an employee's mistake, the phone's detailed features, such as its design, display, and battery, were made public for around 6 hours on the company's website for product promotion. Online tech publications like Engadget and Android Central dispersed these images 15 days ahead of its official release. Experts predict this leak will hurt LG's future marketing strategies and its official launch of the G4. It's that time of the year again, the all-important hiring season as fresh graduates face high competition to land jobs. However, there's a noticeable change in this year in ways companies are hiring as they try to focus more on merit and less on what they widely refer to as specs here in Korea. Our Eunice Kim has the story.
Tens of thousands of young job seekers lined up over the weekend for a shot at joining Samsung Group and Hyundai Motor, two of the most sought-after conglomerates in Korea. It's also hiring season over at Lotte Group, but this year, the company says things will be different. For the first time, Korea's retail giant said it will wipe out spec-based recruitment entirely. That is, points gleaned from shiny resumes with high GPA and perfect English proficiency scores. Instead, recruiters will consider the applicant's real-world competency based on a list of government-issued guidelines called the NCS. Lotte says eliminating score-oriented evaluations will allow underrepresented groups like women and the disabled to fill more jobs. Other conglomerates have also signed on. Samsung Group said it won't consider university alma mater and language skills starting from the fall recruitment period. This change is meant to lessen the financial burden on young people who fork over vast sums of money in pursuit of high scores and certificates, in many cases unrelated to their jobs. The change has worked in the favor of Yang Jae-hoon, who was finally hired last June by a state-run corporation after 2 failed tries due to low English scores. It's a system that supervisors on the ground agree works.
The employees we hired based on the NCS were well prepared to be put in the field right away, and they carried out the job well.
The government plans to take on 3,000 new hires based on NCS at 150 state-run companies this year. Plans are to extend it to all 300 public institutes in Korea in the future. Eunice Kim, Business Daily.
And just last year, the government proposed a plan to raise Korea's employment rate by creating more part-time jobs with flexible work hours. And recent numbers show that the plan seems to be working. Our Son Jung-in tells us more.
There's been a huge jump in the number of people who are taking advantage of a flex-time employment program that's funded by the government. According to a recent report from Korea's Labor Ministry, nearly 4,700 people were employed as part-time civil servants in the first quarter of this year. That's nearly 10 times more than the 459 employed in the same period last year. The government had created a system to provide more opportunities for people who are unable to work full-time, like mothers who had to quit their jobs to raise children. The part-time employees are allowed to work 15 to 30 hours a week with flexible schedules. And the government funds their pay, which is about 20 to 30% higher than the minimum wage and growing. This year, the flex-time workers were paid an average of $8.60 per hour, which is $1.70 more than what they made 2 years ago. That helped lift their monthly salary to roughly $1,200, about $100 more than they made in the same period last year. The ministry also said the system has improved worker satisfaction and productivity. As of now, the flex-time positions are mainly available in the service sector, hospitals, and big conglomerates. But the ministry says it will eventually expand the program to include more fields such as marketing and accounting. Son Jung-in, Business Daily.
A number of important meetings and forums are taking place this week. To tell us more about them, Arirang News Shin Se-min joining us this morning. Morning, Se-min.
Morning to you.
All right, so I hear this week is going to be a very busy week for world business leaders.
That's right, June. One of the most important world business meetings will take place in Washington this week. Now, the IMF and the World Bank Spring Meeting is from the 17th to the 19th of this week. This is where finance ministers and central bankers from more than 100 countries, including Korea, will attend. And Korea's finance minister, Choi Kyung-hwan, will also be in attendance as well.
All right. Well, what are some things that are going to be talked about during this meeting?
Now, the issue is likely to be centered around the AIIB China-led Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, that is, and the governing standards of these institutions have been brought up on the table a couple times as Washington has been citing concerns over whether it'll negatively affect U.S.-based institutions like the World Bank.
Well, we know that more than 50 countries have joined this infrastructure bank, and we know that some of Washington's close allies, including Korea, have joined this bank. So I guess we'll really have to keep a close eye on how this meeting turns out to be. But shifting our gears, take us to Daegu, where a special forum is taking place.
Yes, the 7th World Water Forum is taking place in Daegu, which started yesterday as of Sunday, and over 20,000 people will be gathered in Daegu under the theme of Water for Our Future. Now, the event will foster talks about how to cope with water shortages and other related problems. Now, the 7th triennial event kicked off with President Park Geun-hye saying that the forum will help promote peace by providing solutions to potential conflicts stemming from the water shortages issues.
Well, you know, I think water is one of many things in nature that we take for granted. And I hope this meeting, well, this forum will be an opportunity for us to kind of like raise public awareness and also try to find solutions about these problems, right? All right. And I hear that Business Daily will be going there.
That's right. Business Daily will be covering the event, not just the event itself, but also the water industry in Korea as well. Now, given that the country is expected to face a water shortage in less than a century, that's according to OECD, of course. We'll also have a report on looking into Korea's water preservation techniques and in what ways it'll expand these efforts in the future.
All right, sounds fabulous. We'll look forward to that. But let's shift our gears a bit. We hear that there's a special meeting between Korea, China, and Japan on free trade negotiations.
That's right. The triennial event, the 7th round of free trade negotiations among those neighboring countries will start in Seoul starting Monday and ending on Friday. Now, the Korea's Director General for FTA negotiations, Yoo Myung-hee, and his Japanese counterparts, Tatsuo Sato, and Chinese counterpart, Hong Xiaotong, will take part in the meeting. And according to Korea's Trade Ministry, the talks will mainly revolve around fine-tuning the details on the liberalization of service and investment, as well as drawing up the basis guidelines for the tariff reductions on goods.
All right. Well, since when these negotiations have been ongoing?
Now, the negotiations among the three countries officially were set in motion back in 2012, but a lot of things happened in between, such as the talks on the trilateral disputes that hampered the FTA talks. So a lot of attentions are gathered on how much the progress will take place through this meeting this time.
All right. Well, we'll see how these talks pan out, and so much to keep an eye on. All right. Thanks for coming in today, Semin.
Sure thing.
All right. That wraps up today's broadcast of Business Daily. Hope you have a great start to your week. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.